Hello dear friends, my name is Dr. Brodski. I'm an anthroposophic physician and I'm a GP. I work in Sussex where I see my private patients as well, both via video and face-to-face. The reason I do these videos is because I really like to help my patients and everyone who watches my videos become increasingly independent of the medical profession. This is a little bit of a utopia, but if you do this early on in life, there is a very good chance that you can manage your own health without going into very serious problems. And this time around, I want to talk about preventative medicine. I feel this is a branch of medicine that is most powerful and mostly ignored, because as a society we have such a reactive approach to health. And I don't blame anyone. I totally understand. The life is so pressurized. I know from my own experience that reactivity is not only relevant when it comes to health. It's like all over the place. We are reactive. We are reactive. And I'm just gonna put a call out for those of you who are in a place where you can hear this message. I'm going to put a call out to start looking at our health proactively, i.e. preventing illnesses as opposed to trying to treat them. And perhaps this is why we have a saying, prevention is better than cure. So what does it take preventing illnesses? First, I would say it takes being in tune with our bodies and developing an ability to listen to our bodies. I see this through my patients time and time again, where unfortunately the path that life has taken for many people has made them deaf and blind to the feedback their body gives them. They are so busy with their lives. Even at school, it starts at school, it starts at home. Most of us have some trauma starting from childhood, which is like, part of life, because a lot of people are old souls. We bring karma with us, and that basically means that we're choosing difficult families to incarnate into because they're going to give us the right opportunities for growth. But that also has a price for our physical body and our health. So when it is possible, so I totally realize that there are circumstances when there is very little freedom and we have so little choice. But I'm going to say that I believe in any circumstance we still have some choice. This is a very good topic, actually, destiny and freedom. I believe in both, and I have never seen any contradiction in this between destiny and freedom. So we do have a very strongly predestined life, I feel, because of the lives we have had before and what we bring with us. But at the same time, we have a gazillion of choices that we're making, and in my experience, making one correct choice or the choice in the right direction always opens more good choices. Whereas if you're consistently making poor choices, it shrinks the number of options, sometimes, down to very miserable, utterly distressing circumstances. So now I just have to find my way back. How did we get here? Yeah, we got here because we're talking about preventing ill health. So ill health really starts in the soul for human beings. Unlike plants, plants don't have a soul. Hence, plants will not be ill in a way that human beings can. So plants will only be ill if they're living, growing in an unfavorable environment, whereas with human beings we could be in a favorable environment, and through our thought forms, our feelings, the way our soul interacts with our body, say through bad habits, say through addiction, we can be ruining our etheric body, our physical body, and of course our soul also, and shrinking the number of our choices even as far as our health is concerned. So I am going to call you to take hold of those moments of freedom in the decision making in everyday life, because the best way to create something is through tiny steps which are consistent over a long period of time. I always really do not feel very excited when my patients are telling me that they're going to start the gym 5 times a week, or they're going on a crash diet. I mean, intentions are totally good. The only problem is that it's totally unsustainable because it's way too much. We do need to take a step back and think about this over a long period of time. How we're going to achieve a goal over a period of time. Because, like I was saying, it's consistency that matters. What you could be doing on a daily basis towards your health could be a small thing, but it adds up over a period of time. So I think we need examples, don't we? So for example, I would love all my viewers and all my patients, if you're already not doing this, to do regular exercise. But then more than one type of exercise. So there is cardio, which is amazing for your heart, your lungs. There is a bit of argument which exercise is good for weight management, but cardio is good for you. There is muscle building, which is also excellent because that actually improves your metabolism, because you have more muscle which is metabolically active. So you do want to do some weight training. Weight training is also pretty awesome to prevent osteoporosis, by the way, because it's weight-bearing exercises that help you keep the calcium in the bones. And we lose calcium after, women after the change, and men gradually as well. Later on in life, we can become osteoporotic, i.e. weak bones. So exercise prevents that. So doing a little bit of exercise over a long period of time is good. And I was going to tell you what I do, and I'm telling you about different types of exercises. So we've got cardio, we've got weights, and the other type is actually yoga or Pilates. And I'm going to emphasize very strongly why I think yoga or Pilates is precious, priceless, indispensable, and vital for you. What I see a lot is, as people get older, they become kind of very fragile, and their balance goes, and they totally start disincarnating from their body prematurely. I mean, the process probably starts from our 40s onwards. We are naturally starting to disconnect from our bodies. It's natural process, as it is natural for the baby to gradually incarnate into their body by the time they're an adult. When they're born, most of the spiritual parts of the human being is out of the body. They're not incarnated. And you can see in the way they walk how they're learning to take hold of their body. So coming back to yoga or Pilates, what these types of exercises do, they kind of balance the whole human being, because when you do cardio and weights, guess what? You're putting stress on your back, you're putting your back out. It's not great for joints. The only type of exercise that's good for the whole entire body is yoga and Pilates. And I personally do 10-15 minutes of this every day. I think it's so important to have a routine. When I don't do the stretches and my weights, I just feel rubbish. And I know my day is not going to go so well. So I want to strongly emphasize that this is a really good starting point to build good health. And you do not need to aim to put your leg behind your ear. This is totally not the point. And don't be discouraged if somebody next to you is doing that. Good for them. All we want to do is to gradually stretch the body and actually get into the body. I do feel that Pilates and yoga and other types of exercises help us stay incarnated in our bodies, and it prevents premature dying process. If you see like an old person walking, you can actually, it's like first steps of clairvoyance, but not really, because you can just see how they're walking. You can see that they're almost holding their body clumsily from the outside, because they're no longer inside of the body so much. And this is very preventable. Obviously, we can't prevent death. We do need it. It's a separate video. But we can prevent misery, not health. And the thing to do is to do it whilst we're still young, because the changes will not have taken place like the irreversible changes, if there are such things, but there are such things. So we've talked about health. The other important thing is nutrition. You really want to, I would say, nutrition is very individual. I do appreciate that. But the general guideline would be aiming to reduce the amount of toxins. So if you can eat organic, if you can eat less animal foods are actually over a certain limit are quite toxifying, and there are plenty of people who eat animal products every day. The body can't cope with that. This is like way too much ammonia, way too much protein. Protein is bad for kidneys, it calcifies, it kind of, anthroposophically speaking, animal foods, they harden the whole body. Hardening of the body is an aging process. So think twice if you're loading on animal proteins every day. If you think you need this for your muscle, it's not necessarily the case, because most of it needs to be wasted as in excreted, because we can't absorb and make use of this amount of protein. And of course, animal protein also has all the animal imprints and how the animal went through death. There's also a lot of soul toxicity that is attached to animal food, and more sensitive people will feel that in their soul as well. It's not too pleasant. So alcohol, of course, comes into it, or hopefully it doesn't come into it. So if you're wondering about how alcohol affects your body, I'll just remind you, it's linked with all types of cancer, all of them. It's linked with dementia. And if you think about because in anthroposophic medicine, you have to learn to look at things like the gestures. What is the gesture of alcohol? Think about a person who is drunk. They no longer, I'm gonna have a drink. So a drunk person is no longer in control of their body. And this state of poor balance, poor thinking, not poor thinking, but sluggish thinking, sluggish reflex is actually a picture of illness. Because broadly speaking, illness happens when the I, the spirit, is no longer in control of the soul, etheric body and the physical body. And of course, if you are on a regular basis, give this gesture to the whole system to be in that state of intoxication. Even, the word intoxication, yeah, it's toxic. Then, of course, it's going to lead to illness. And it does. It's just a lot of people like to lie to themselves. I'm sure I'm one of them, but I try to minimize the lying to myself, because it doesn't take me anywhere, no good place anyways. So we've talked about exercise, we have talked about diet, broadly speaking, we've talked about alcohol. Now there's one other massive component to health, preventative health, and this is our emotions. So we have to learn to be really honest. And some of you are totally already there. I'm still getting there myself. So I think it's worth sharing. Is basically our toxic emotions are so profoundly toxic for our health. You know, in Germany and in Russia, I was born in Russia, there is such a thing as psychosomatic medicine, and it's massively popular. So in Russia, for example, you will find a lot of people who want to know what is behind their symptoms. So, and they will always, there we have some amazing doctors in Russia who do psychosomatic medicine. So certain feelings, certain patterns of behavior, certain family dynamics are linked with certain types of illnesses. And those people are really keen to find the connections so that they can reverse them. So very broadly speaking, I would say we want to become aware of our internal emotional world. For those who are not even in touch with the emotions, and I have been one of those people, so I have so much empathy for all of you. We want to get in touch with those emotions in the first place, and it can be very difficult to get into them, because usually when we're numb, when we're not in touch, it's just an indication that we're traumatized, and it's really painful to go there. But we need to, because otherwise, you know, this is like a part of our karma. If we don't resolve those emotions, and those emotions are toxic, stuck emotions, will be then taking our emotions from life to life to life to life, when actually right now we have a chance to cleanse ourselves, we have a chance to heal ourselves, and whenever you heal yourself, you're helping the whole of the humanity, because we all are, you know, you could say we're all in ascension, we're all evolving, we're all dropping, you know, toxic emotions, we're dissolving them. And this is part of our a massive part of our evolution. So this work is really worth doing. And there's so many methods I can recommend for this. So I have a separate video about emotion code. It is magnificent, it's very effective. I've been doing it for over a year. I recommend it so highly. Have a look at that video. Then, you know, there's so many therapists, and a good therapist will go a long way. And I think a good therapist needs to have additional skills such as EMDR. This is amazing for trauma. Most of us are traumatized, not all, most of us are traumatized, because we have lived here before, we bring things from previous lives. And we need, in this life, we need to resolve this trauma. Let's not take any toxicity into our next life. Let's handle it in this life. So emotion code is incredible. Good therapist who can do other techniques such as I was saying, EMDR, Psyche, hypnosis, who can do energy work. Like I have a therapist who will do energy work for me during the session, though I also do it myself now. And yeah, and of course we want to, the last and perhaps most important thing is to look for our calling and try our best to be in touch with why we're here. And that really is the spirit part of us, because it's our calling, our direction in life that is to do with why we're here. And this is the very core of us. So we have to learn to listen to ourselves on so many levels, spiritually, soul-wise, feelings, energetically, physically. We have to actually look inside so much more than we look on the outside. We are so overwhelmed with impressions. We are so addicted to sensory input. And I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just speaking from experience here, because I'm going through this as much as all of you are. We really need to create space, peace and quiet. And the majority of people are already burnt out. It's tough. We're in a very tough place, I think, even though from the outside it might not look that way, but humanity is in a tough place with a lot of choices to be made. But the thing is, it's not just one choice. It's, as far as our health is concerned, it's a lot of tiny choices on daily basis. And again, clearing up our emotions is so important, because what happens is, if we sleep and we don't make the right choice, or we have a tub of ice cream, then we kick in the whole guilt cycle. Whereas if you start doing emotion code, you can remove the trapped emotions of guilt and shame and so on, so that if you sleep a little, so what? You just keep going forward instead of sleeping all the way back somewhere into a dark place. Yeah, there is so much that we can do to prevent ill health. It is incredible, and I wish that preventative medicine becomes much more prominent than it is at the moment, so that we switch into prevention from reactivity. I hope this was useful. You can leave me comments. I'm sending you all lots of love, and stay healthy.